What's up, family? Ever since 5 uncivilized Memphis police officers beat motorist Tyre Nichols to death, there have been more questions than answers as to why. Fam, they tried to make it look like this was just a simple case of a motorist driving reckless who did not want to comply once he was stopped. But fam, this has to be deeper. The way they dragged that man out of that car and talked to him like he was anything but a child of God, called him B's and MFs, they just everything, anything you can think of, they just did the man real dirty. And this guy was very cooperative, very respectful, even as his life was slipping away. He was very respectful to the officers, very compliant. Yeah, he ran when he thought, because he thought they was going to kill him, which they ultimately did anyway. Some people say, well, why run? Man, you don't know what you would do in that situation. But here's the deal, and I think it's very important for me to say this, because some people, I don't want to give you the wrong information, you go out there and get yourself killed. Yes, if you comply, you still can die. We've seen it happen many, many times. We saw it happen with Tyre. But if you don't comply, you have a greater chance of dying, because now you're giving them an excuse. And that's kind of what happened in the Tyre case. It's like they already had a reason. Whatever reason they wanted to kill him, they had their reason. Now they got an excuse. He ran, boom, now we got an excuse. Because somewhere along the way, there was a silent interpretation of police policy that made the officers feel like they could kill people who runs away. Somebody runs away, or even if somebody resists, maybe they got a memo, and one of their sergeants, higher ups, lieutenants or whatever, chiefs, said, look, if they run, you can kill them. If they resist, you can kill them. Because they really get off on killing. These guys were on power trips who killed them. They were on a power trip. And they were exemplary of classic bullies. From what I understand, this Scorpions team, these guys have been terrorizing Memphis for a long time. Well, they allegedly was started when their chief, C.J. Davis, came in. But so this is 2021. However, the bottom line is these guys are very, very dangerous. The entire Memphis Police Department is very dangerous. But when they create these little special task force, they're especially dangerous, and they look for action. When they start talking about the violence apprehension team and all that stuff, these type of groups are especially dangerous. Anytime they start talking about a task force, a special group, this is when they give them those little pretty names and all that stuff, fam, watch out. And it's like that all over the United States. It was like that in the last, well, not the last police department, but the police department prior to the one that C.J. Davis, Chief C.J. Davis in the Memphis Police Department, when she served at the one in Atlanta, she had a task force that was very similar. And I got so many messages from people saying that these guys were especially brutal toward the black community. And these were black officers, primarily. Well, in this case, it was primarily black officers, but also, in Atlanta too, primarily black officers who were especially brutal toward members of the black community. Obviously, the white officers, white officers, they're innately brutal toward the black community. Not all, but most of them, I would say. They're especially brutal toward the black community. The ones who work in the black community typically are very hyper aggressive when dealing with black folks. It's like, this is what they do. Now, going back to their aggression, the aggression they had towards Tyre, a guy who was very, in my opinion, meek. You know, the guy was like screaming for his mother. That don't sound like a guy who's dangerous to me, a guy who's screaming for his mother. They're asking the man to put his hands behind his back when they're holding his hands. And you know what I'm saying? When they're restraining him, they're asking him to put his hands behind his back. So they're saying all the little old code words that they like to use, like stop resisting, put your hands behind your back, put your hands behind your back. And they give you mixed signals, you know, like mixed commands. One's telling you to do this, the other one's telling you this, another one telling you to do this. And oftentimes they tell you, you get confused, you don't know what the hell to do. But the way that they did this man, it was totally unnecessary. For them to go as far as they did, it had to be personal. Now, the father of Tyre said that the rumor about Tyre dating one of the officers' ex-girlfriends or wives or whatever at FedEx was not true. But at the same time, I take that with a grain of salt, because parents don't always know what their children are up to and who they're hanging out with. They don't know. So in any event, it's deeper than what we think, fam. And it's going to come out because we got 5 uncivilized mutts, including the other 2 or 3 white uncivilized mutts who are going to be held accountable for this. They're going to have to talk at least. They're going to have to save their own skin. And heads are going to roll. It's going to be a lot of snitching. By the time all the information comes out, fam, there's no telling where this is going to end up at. But I will tell you this, mark my words, and we'll revisit this. It's deeper than what we think. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.